mess with me, I'm fine. Just don't look into my eyes. You only gave a bunch of lies, but also gave me life. Now you want me to go hide again.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Violet Intentions. I'm your host, Kaylin. Today we are descending into the shadow realms, and I invite you, as you tune into this conversation, to open your senses, to open your faculties, and to let this conversation hit you, to be open to receiving the intuitive hits and the other ways of knowing, a sense, a sensation in the body, an emotion, a tightening, an opening, whatever it is for you, and just trust your intuition. But allow this conversation to hit you on a layer deeper than the mind. We are going to take a descent into the Shadowlands. Now, I have no idea what's coming, so we're just gonna roll with it and let whatever arises arise. We are walking into the second half of eclipse season if you are watching this video right when it comes out, meaning we are stepping into the Shadowlands. I am feeling them as already active. I want to offer this as a tool, a doorway to help us navigate our own shadow realms. So what is the shadow? What is the shadow realms? The shadow, simply put, is the part of our psyche that is beyond the conscious mind. So our consciousness, our ego, everything that we are aware of resides in our conscious mind. And then we have our subconscious, which is on the periphery of our awareness. We can have access to it, but it's not like right in the light. For example, emotions and intuition lie in the realm of the subconscious. We can access our emotions, we can access our intuition, but they're not like in the realm of knowing, right? So the mind, the realm of knowing, it is this like way of structure and way of categorizing, of I'm going to label and put everything into a box and categorize it so that I know. Can't put emotions into a box. Can't put intuition into a box, right? So when we really tune into our emotions, emotions become data, and they become ways of knowing beyond the logic of the mind. Same with intuition. When we strengthen our intuitive capabilities, we all have intuition, and it's just a skill that we can develop. When we strengthen our intuitive abilities, it allows us to gain a knowing that is beyond the logic of the mind. I know what I know, and I don't know how I know it, but I know what I know. It's an inner gnosis. We can even see this in conversation, and this is talked about in the book, The Alphabet versus the Goddess. Highly recommend. I'll link it down below. In conversation, I want to say it's 20%, but don't quote me on that. 20% of the information that you receive is their words. The other 80% of the information that you are receiving is their body language, is their emotions, is these other ways of perceiving the conversation that are beyond just words. Words are only 20% of the information exchanged in a conversation. If I was sitting here to you monotonally telling you this information, you probably wouldn't get very much out of it. But through the way that I'm moving, through the energy that I'm holding, through the tonality in my voice, you are picking up so much more data than just my words. And if you want to get really crazy, this is when we get into the left and right hemisphere of the brain, but I'll digress on that topic for now. Again, you can dig deeper into that in The Alphabet versus the Goddess, which I'll link below. So the conscious mind is our logic. It is factual. It is the things that we know, that we can see, that is in the light of our conscious mind, in the knowing of our conscious mind. The subconscious is what's on the peripheral. It is the things that we still have access to, but we have to access through these other ways of knowing, through intuition, through emotions, through body wisdom. The unconscious is a layer deeper. The unconscious is what is out of reach of our conscious mind, the things that are beyond our conscious understanding. So let's put it into context of the planets. You have the sun. The sun rises every day. We see the sun every day. The sun illuminates our world. Without the sun, we would not exist. The sun allows us to see. Then we have the moon, the subconscious. The moon goes in cycles and we see her sometimes like during a full moon, but we don't see her during a new moon. She waxes and she wanes, she comes in and she comes out. This is our subconscious. We can access it, we can touch it, but it's not always there. Sometimes it evades us. Okay, then Pluto, you can't see Pluto with the naked eye. You need a telescope and you need all these special tools. Pluto is the unconscious. So far away from the light of our conscious mind, we cannot see it with the naked eye. We cannot see it with the logic of the mind. If we map this in the body, the conscious mind is the mind, and the unconscious would be down like in the womb, in the gut, in the root, in the lower places of the body, that unless we actively do work, we probably aren't inhabiting those areas of the body. So how do you gain access? We're gonna come at this from a few different angles. So I invite you to put on your mystical thinking cap, because we're gonna approach it from a little bit of all over the place. We're gonna come at it from psychology, we're gonna come at it from mysticism, we're gonna come at it from all these angles. So Carl Jung extensively in his work writes about the shadow and the unconscious, and dream work is a way that has helped me understand the unconscious, the shadow complexes, right? So our ego is the part of self that we most identify with. It is the aspect of the psyche that holds continuity, it holds linear time, it is the one that we most identify with. It is my personality, it is who I am Kaylin. Now, the psyche has other complexes. For example, when you dream, every character in your dream is a complex of your own psyche. And there are some works out there by different scholars and mystics that suggest that these imaginal realms are their own orthogonal realm. Like they are real in their own right. And these complexes of the psyche, they have their own house in the psyche and they have their own routine and they do things. They are a real imaginal aspect. So these shadow complexes, they are real complexes in the psyche. And what happens is most of the time we push them away because they were too painful or too challenging to look at. It was too painful or challenging to bring the light of our conscious mind to this aspect of self, to this scenario, to this thing that we experienced. So we push it away. We don't want to look at it. If we don't look at it, it doesn't exist. If we pretend it doesn't exist, we can continue functioning and living our life without having to experience that pain. Or so we thought. What actually happens is the more that we repress something, the more life force it gets, right? So that shadow aspect that we repressed, it has a little bit of juice, a little bit of life force in it. And it takes a lot of energy to repress something. It takes a lot of energy to repress our shadow, to repress these aspects of self. So the more energy we spend repressing it, we're feeding it that juice. And then this aspect that is unconscious now all has this life force, and it can direct your life unconsciously. Why do I keep ending up in the same relationship pattern over and over again? Why do I keep attracting the same type of people? Why do I keep going back to the same job over and over that I know isn't right for me? Most likely because you have a shadow aspect that is unconsciously directing your life force, magnetizing those experiences in until you finally get the courage to look at it. And I'll say this is just the moment in time that we live in. I won't get too deep into this now, but if we look at the larger planetary cycles, the like 24,000 year precession of the equinox cycles, this is just the moment in time that we live in. It is the greater cycle that we are in a time of unconsciousness where there are a lot of aspects of the unconscious, and pretty much everyone on the planet has to do work in the unconscious. It is just the moment in time that we live in. And when we recognize that, it can bring us a little bit more acceptance, because it's not personal. It's just the moment in time that we live in. We all gotta do it. So back to these shadow complexes. When doing shadow work, we can approach it from multiple different angles, but I will say this first. The shadow knocks. The shadow begins to rise. In my experience, there are two ways of kind of doing the shadow work, getting into the realms. One, you intentionally descend down into the unconscious. In this way, you are bringing the light of your conscious mind, your awareness, to the parts of self that were originally hidden from you. And if you're just starting out on this work, it's hidden for a reason. We don't want to look at it. It takes a guide, it takes practice to find these doorways and get into these territories. But the first way is bringing the awareness down into the unconscious. It's a descent. The second way is when the unconscious, when the shadow rises to meet you. Now this is different. In the first way, we are going down. It's like walking downstairs into the basement. The second way, it's like a flood rising up the floors of your house. So it's everywhere you look. There's no escaping it. The shadows are knocking. I'm forgetting the exact words, but in the myth of Inanna, in the Descent, they talk about whispers from the lower realm. And that's exactly how this happens, but it cannot be known through the logical mind because the mind doesn't want to know. The mind pushed it away. So we have to drop below the mind to navigate these realms to get the juice out of it. So in this second way, when the flood is rising, when the shadow lands are starting to emerge, it's like the mist rising, the fog rising. It is a layer over top of everything that you are experiencing, meaning there's no avoiding it. It's here. It's asking something of you. These other ways of knowing that we can lean into our emotions, first and foremost, and body wisdom. It's often going to feel like confusion. It could feel emotionally charged. There could be a lot of negative self-talk. You are not in your normal state of being. You're not in joy. Maybe your body is feeling tense. Maybe you're really confused about what's happening. Maybe you just can't find your center point. These are all markers of the shadowlands rising. And as you start to begin to journey into the underworld, it's a never-ending process. I hate to admit it to you, sorry, but it becomes easier. So as you start to navigate this, learn your markers. How do I know when my shadow is arising? What are my markers? Everything that I just listed are markers. Emotions, sensations in the body, etc. I want to give us some feels to explore what potential markers could be, and I invite you to play around with this over the next coming week or two as we collectively are navigating these shadow realms. One, Emotions are a big one. If I'm feeling fear or grief or anger, or I'm just emotionally charged and so I'm annoyed, I'm frustrated, just emotionally charged in some way that I just can't get rid of, there's something deeper here. This is the doorway. There's something deeper here. The other one is confusion. If I just really can't find my center point, if I don't understand where the path is, what I'm supposed to be doing, I have no idea what's going on. What am I supposed to be doing? What do you want me to do? I can't find my truth thread. I can't find center point no matter what I do. That is a marker for me that the shadowlands are arising. Weird sensations in the body. A big one for me is the back body, right? Different points on the body correlate to different emotions, etc. Whole body of work around that. The back corresponds to the unconscious. So I know I'm someone who gets a lot of back pain and back sensation, and I know if my back locks up, there is something pre-verbal arising. There is something beyond consciousness arising. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the back. It could be different like pains or tightness or sensations in the body that you don't know where they came from. And our mind is gonna wanna logically, oh, well, maybe I ate something bad for dinner last night. Maybe I slept wrong, la 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 la. Or your body is offering you a doorway, is inviting you to go deeper into this. So sensations in the body. When these shadowlands arise, to me it often feels like everything that I try to do is wrong. Like if I'm trying to go about living my life or do something or go about it just all feels wrong. There's just this feeling of wrongness. Something is not right. There's something that just doesn't, it's not right. That's an indicator that there is something in the shadow that is asking to be felt. And there are more, but these are what's coming right now. So again, just feel for you and play with this in the next coming weeks and start to know your markers. Write them down so that you can become better equipped to navigate these realms. Navigating the shadow realms is like feeling your way through the darkness. There's no light. You can't see. You have to rely on your senses. We've already talked about emotions being a big one. When we descend into the shadow, even if it's rising up to meet us, when we follow our emotions, when we have this devotion to feeling our emotions fully, to letting them express themselves fully, they are often the key. And they will take you to this place. You just have to follow it, to listen to where it's taking you. Same with the points in the body. If you're feeling sensation, if you focus your awareness and your attention on it and bring breath, bring movement, bring sound while keeping your attention focused there, it'll open, it'll become a doorway in the same way that emotions are. If we're in this place of confusion and we just cannot find the path, it becomes a game of feeling around in the dark, and body wisdom is really profound for this. I want to use a personal example that I had today of I woke up just on the wrong side of the bed. I'm trying all my practices. I'm trying to drop into my routine and it's all just wrong. I can't find my center point. And I have this intention sheet that I wrote out of what my higher self feels like. And I'm reading this, and as I'm reading it, I'm feeling into the frequency, hoping that will give me a feel, give me a direction, bring me back into center. And as I'm reading this, I come across the word spaciousness. And as I read spaciousness, I feel how tight my body is. I feel how not spacious I am. And that was a marker. That was a feel in the dark. As I'm connecting into my higher self, my true north, and she is spacious and I am tight, boom, doorway. Okay, spaciousness. How do I get into spaciousness? I thought that dancing would get me into spaciousness, and it did not. And I had to lean on, you know, a program with a mentor. I needed support. And that's a big thing about the shadow realms. Until we become adept in these territories, we need supports, we need guides, we need cycle pumps, we need someone to open doorways and point and hold the lantern as we walk through these realms. And that's so welcome and needed. So find the people, the places, the practices, the programs, the studios, find the supports that hold the lantern for you as you navigate these territories. But I want to go back to the dancing because I'm still feeling around in the dark, right? Spaciousness, that's my doorway. Okay, how do I give myself spaciousness? Dancing, nope. And that's okay because I'm feeling around in the dark. And dancing, even though it was not the path, led me to the path of leaning into a support, leaning into a program, having someone guide me, give me guardrails in a container so that I can journey into this. Because I didn't have it today. And that's okay. We don't always have it. There's an emphasis here on feeling around in the dark is feeling for what touches you. And this is body wisdom. So when I came across spaciousness, there was a visceral response of tightness in my body that really touched me. There's aliveness there, there's juice there. It's feeling for what hits you, allowing your body system, your physical body, your mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic, all of your bodies be open to receive the information. And the information might come as an emotion, it might come as a sensation, but it's like, I'm getting hit and this thing is pinging me. And can I listen for the pings that are often whispers? It's a breadcrumb trail. It's a breadcrumb trail of little drops of light as you're feeling around in the darkness. As we navigate the shadow territory and we meet our shadow complexes, there are often protectors. And again, this can be seen throughout so many different traditions, or IFS, internal family systems, uses protectors in that way. I know in psychology there's a similar concept of protectors. And these shadow complexes, they just want to keep us safe. They got hurt in the past and they just want to keep us safe from this happening to us again. So as we navigate these realms, we want to come in with a whole lot of love and compassion for these parts of self. We're meeting these deep fears, we're meeting this repression of anger, we're meeting the wells of grief. And they need us to be gentle with them. They need love and compassion. And you know, a little bit later in this video, I will share some personal experiences, some videos of when I was like really in it, navigating the shadow territory, so you can really see what I mean here. But it's these parts of self that just want to keep us safe, that don't realize that their perceived safety is actually harming us. They don't realize that we're not a little girl, little boy anymore. They don't realize that we're a full adult capable of protecting ourselves, of keeping ourselves safe. Another way that I love to approach shadow work is from a nervous system standpoint, and I find this to be so huge. I'm so passionate about this. So at this point, we've kind of been taking a psychological way of looking at this, of like, okay, these are parts of the psyche, they're parts of self. Maybe it was the 4-year-old little girl who got really hurt and she just never got to be reconciled. So now she carries all this grief and shame. they are parts of self, right? We can kind of visualize what age they were, what do they look like. We can put an image to them to help understand a little bit better. Now we're going to approach from the nervous system standpoint. From the nervous system, from the ages of 0 to 7, our nervous system is being formed, meaning we are borrowing our parents' nervous systems until that age. Our nervous system receives all of these like imprints. I imagine it like frequency, like energy, like sound waves. So even emotions have a frequency. They have a sound wave to them. The map of consciousness is really beautiful. Again, I'll put a link below, and that helps give you a visual of each emotion and the sound wave that they carry. So our nervous system received all of these imprints as it's being formed. They could be from our own experiences in childhood. It could be ancestral, our parents and our grandparents, what they had going on in their nervous system that got imprinted to us. And again, it's just the perfection of our biology. And it's this moment in time that we live in where we all have karma and we all have work to do in the unconscious. So let's say, for example, that you were put up for adoption. Your baby child nervous system got an imprint of this separation from the biological parent, from the nervous system that it was co-regulating with. Now, this is not conceptualized by the mind, but the nervous system felt that imprint. As the baby, as the child, the nervous system is reaching for this nervous system that it knows, the parental figure, and it can't find it anywhere. So this feeling of separation, this feeling of abandonment then gets imprinted on the nervous system, and it becomes a groove. Our nervous system we can think about as the channels for energy, the channels that energy flows through. And these grooves, they can become like the Grand Canyon. And it's just now energy is always going to travel down this pathway. It's a nervous system groove. And as energy travels down this pathway, this groove, we are then creating from this place. We are experiencing life from this place. So you have this nervous system imprint of abandonment, and then you enter into relationships with people who abandon you. And you question, why do I keep choosing people that abandon me? Why do I keep playing this out? Because it is ingrained in your nervous system. It is a shadow aspect. So it's the same thing that we can approach from two different angles. We can approach from this nervous system standpoint of I have a biological, energetically wired groove. That energy just keeps traveling down this pathway. And then if we approach it from the psychological standpoint, we would uncover the child whose parents put them up for adoption, and do you see what I mean? You can approach the same thing from the different angles. Psychology can be a really helpful doorway, and I use parts work a lot as I do my shadow work. I find the nervous system piece to be really profound because we don't always need a story. Sometimes the story can help us get into that territory. It can be a doorway, but we want to make sure we don't get trapped in moving the furniture around the room. The nervous system and the energetic approach is really powerful because we can just bring love, compassion, grace to these parts of self, flood it with that goodness, with that high voltage love and grace, and just move the energy. Just shift the energy. Just fill that groove and start directing the energy in a different pathway. As we start to navigate the shadow realms, there's often a lot of fight. We don't want to have to face our shame. We don't want to have to feel the grief. We don't want to have to express the anger. We don't want to have to come face to face with our deepest fear. It makes sense that we fight. It makes sense that we hide. It makes sense that we run. And we all do it. But on the other side of these various shadow aspects is so much power. is vitality, aliveness, life force, joy, creative energy, bliss, love, peace. The dream life that we really want. I have found the most beneficial tool that always serves, no matter what shadow journey you are doing, is giving form to that love. So maybe like Christ is a form that really works for you. Maybe the Divine Mother is a form that really works for you. Maybe it's your own higher self. Maybe I picture this golden outline of a being, like a body outline, and it's golden. And that to me is that love, grace, compassion, energy in form. It is this high frequency love. There is nothing that I cannot love. And it's grace, it's compassion, it's soft, there's no force. And as I descend into the shadows to do whatever various shadow work, that love is always with me. It's meeting the part. And there's no force. It's not like, oh, you now have to become love. It's the love and the fear sit hand in hand. There's no pushing away the sadness. There's no trying to make it through grief faster. It's just, okay, my grief and my golden love body they're just gonna sit together. And I'm just gonna see what happens. And I'm just gonna be here with them sitting together. That's all that these shadow complexes want. They want to be witnessed. They want to be heard, seen, and expressed. And when we do that through the eyes of love and compassion, we can bring them back into center. They can come rest in the center of our heart, in the center of our love, and all of that life force that they were holding now comes back to your center. You now have more life force to direct to creating your life. You now have more vitality. There's a Ram Dass quote that I really love that says, you know, you're on the spiritual journey, and at first you keep trying to get high. You want to get high, you want to get high, you want to get high. And eventually you realize that every time you get high, you keep coming down. And you become more interested in cleaning away what keeps you down, because there's no sense in getting high if you can't be high. And that's what the shadow work is. It's the clearing away of the things that keep you down through love, through grace, through compassion. I'm a little bit disheveled right now. We had a Scorpio full moon on the 1st of this month, so this whole month of May is flavored by this scorpionic death for rebirth. Like we're in the underworld. This whole month is Shadowland territory for this alchemical transmutation. I'm getting into these deeper, darker places of like what my body is really holding on to, all of the sexual trauma that I've experienced, all of the sexual trauma that women, point blank period, that the feminine has experienced. And do I avoid that like a motherfucker? So I'm having this whole dilemma right now of my nervous system is whipping out all of its tendencies, and it is a battle. Like, it is a true battle. I'm watching myself, and I can observe this, and I can say, I know this is not good for me. I know this is not what I need to be doing. I can even recognize this is the, what do they call it? The part of the psyche that is against consciousness, like the protagonist, like the anti-consciousness force in the psyche. There's a name for that, and I can't remember it right now. Like, I can even name, okay, this energy in me is the part of me that is anti-consciousness, that is against my growth, and it wants to keep me safe. Thank you. And it's not helpful. Like, I can recognize all of that. And I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it. And I just had like a fight with myself, and it's these two internal forces that are battling out. I switch 1-1 today, the protagonist. And it's like, this actually goes against all of my goals. Actually, it might even have harmful consequences to me. That's okay. I accept the consequences because I trust. And I'm just like, how do I navigate this, right? Because willpower is just not enough. Willpower doesn't work in the Shadowlands because your unconscious is more powerful than your willpower. The name of the game is to surrender. I surrender my will to something greater. So softening seems like the answer. Can I soften? Can I soften? Can I soften this ego grip? Can I soften the grip of the protagonist? Can I soften? Can I soften? Can I soften? Can I let go? Can I soften? Can I soften? It just didn't work for me today. And I think the reason why is because I really don't want to go here. I do. Like, I do want to go here. I do want to go to the depths of the feminine wounding and find out what's in the basement and feel it and let it through my body. Like, actually, I do want to go there. And there is a part of me that just will do absolutely everything in its power to not go there. So then it becomes, how can I really work with this? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and beat myself up. I'm not gonna yell at myself. I'm not gonna be like mean to myself because it's not an act of willpower. Like, at least this unconscious force in me won. Okay, so how do I navigate that? How do I take all of this that is right here, this bad decision that I'm making, this protagonist force in my psyche, and how do I use it to propel me forward? Like, how do I actually navigate this so I can move on from it and not continue to repeat this pattern? And to me, it's feeling like a whole lot of fucking compassion, like a whole lot of compassion. Having compassion for the parts of myself that are still struggling, having compassion for the parts of myself that are still falling behind, and I'm gonna turn it into medicine. That's the thing, like, I can know, but we're not in a realm of knowing right now. We're in much deeper places, so how do I navigate that? And I'm just praying for guidance. I'm praying for softening. I'm praying for integration of these energies, praying for compassion and forgiveness, and just a whole lot of love and guidance to how to navigate these territories. And what feels like something in myself that I can continue to expand that will help with that is, one, meditation, and two, this pleasant contentness, the peace that passeth all understandeth, this complete contentness with just how it all is. And allowing that to be my central channel, allowing that to be my center point and my anchor point. So then as I continue with life and these protagonist energies start swirling around in my psyche, I can just watch it and stay in this peace that passeth all understandeth. I have a standard for what makes me feel good, and I'm making decisions that go against that. And this is like the whole point of this video, and this is where I'm getting at. There are a couple things that I know are harmful, are detrimental to what I'm building, to what I'm creating, to where I'm at in life right now, and I'm still watching myself choose them. And this is the most fucking challenging place to be, because I'm overriding my intuition, I'm overriding my body knowledge, I am still choosing it, and I can like watch it, and then I choose it, and then I'm in all of this shame because I'm doing something that I know is not good for me, that I know is harmful to me, and guess what? I'm gonna choose it again. Like, what the fuck? I can recognize this as like this shadow complex holding power, right? Like we say I, and this is me, and like I'm making the decision, but again, there's all of these complexes in the psyche. So a way that we can think about it is this shadow complex has gained enough power that it can override the ego, it can override the intuition. So even though I say I'm making these decisions, it's really this shadow complex, the clinger in me that has harnessed enough power. Where'd she get this power? From me blocking her out. From this blocking out, she's now able to like sequester this energy from me. She like drains it from me, and then it's unconsciously making decisions for me. So now I'm starting to bring my consciousness there, but I'm unable to at this point exert the willpower to change. Or you could say I'm using my willpower to still choose this. And it's really tricky for me because is this the pattern like surfacing and working itself out of my system and I just need to bear witness to it? Or am I continuing to feed this pattern? I don't know. And I'm also feeling really challenged because this creation mystery school that I'm in is like riling up, and I don't know if this is the chaos of creation and it's the same thing of these patterns working themselves out of my system and I just need to offer myself grace and compassion as they do. Or am I choosing the old? Am I choosing to create from this place? And Uranus and Sedna are about to go conjunct in a couple days time, and I just like, this is like the worst possible time for me to be stuck in old patterns. And I'm gonna choose it again tonight, and that's what's fucked. That's what's fucked, is I know that tonight I am going to choose to make a bad decision to get, and it's like, well, you're saying you know, so you're like broadcasting that into the future. Nah, I'm just being radically fucking honest with myself. I know that that is the decision that I'm gonna make tonight. So what the fuck? What the fuck do I do? What's the medicine here? I feel like I'm almost self-sabotaging. I've made it so far. I've made it like 75%, and I feel like I'm just fucking blowing it at the end. And I feel like I always do this. Is this a pattern? Is this what's being worked out, or is this me choosing it? And I feel like I'm self-sabotaging. I just feel like I've done so good and I'm blowing it right at the end. Stay tuned to find out, I suppose. This was a whole lot of mind food to walk us into this territory, to start to give you some feels, to hopefully serve you as we collectively navigate these shadow lands in the upcoming weeks leading up to this lunar eclipse. If you want to work with this in your body, if you're like, great, this all sounds great, how do I do it? How? Let's do it. I'm ready. Stay tuned for some practices where we walk through this together. And I highly, 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 highly recommend, because there is a big difference between intellectualizing it and embodying it and feeling it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know how this is showing up for you. What is your experience in the shadow realms? If you have any questions, I'd love to hang out with you in the comments. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It means so much to me. It helps me out, and I'll see you next time.
Ready when you touched me, I thought I see the stars. Remember when you